In the past year, CT sites have changed in more ways than one. At the two most recent majors, seen here in the picture, Stockholm on the left and Antwerp on the right, we see that almost every single map in the current map pool is CT sided. And the ones that are T sided are only T sided by about 0.5%. Allow me to explain. Pistol rounds are among the most important rounds in a game, and especially on the CT side, as this is where you'll be building your economy from. A defuse kit coming at a price point of $400 is just such a weird number. And the thing with using $400 for a defuse kit in the pistol means that you pick up either a smoke and have $100 left over, or you can pick up 2 flashes and have no smoke for the defuse. This is the same problem we saw with the dual Berettas, and now that they've been adjusted to $300, teams are choosing to pick them up more, since you can now drop 2 dual Berettas or you can pick up a dual Beretta and a smoke and a flash. So while the price decrease does not seem like a lot, it makes teams pick them up far more than before. You can now have 2 sort of raid bosses on the CT side that are locking down a close quarters area where CTs normally don't have a chance to fight. Glocks versus USP, that fight is not one you want to take up close, but with the dual Berettas coming into play on the CT side, it gives them a lot more room to sort of get creative and have a more tactical approach to the CT pistol round. The dual Berettas are one of the smaller improvements, but since they are in the pistol round, I thought it was appropriate to mention them first. Another huge change, which is honestly one of the biggest reasons why the CT meta is even a thing, is the added grenade dropping. You see a bunch of CT teams use this time and time again, especially on maps like Inferno or Dust 2, where they drop grenades in spawn that their teammates then will be able to use later on. This is obviously a change that is an added bonus for both sides of the coin, but we do see the CT teams benefiting from it the most, as they are able to take their utility to one side of the map, leave it there, and then go to the other side of the map where they were potentially originally playing or where they want to be rotating over towards, stacking heavily on that bomb site and then leaving just 1 or 2 guys with added utility on the other side of the map. On Inferno, for example, this is hyper important since the B side of the map is typically the hardest to defend without utility, and having a full extra utility set just is such an improvement. The key pieces of utility on Inferno are the HE, the smoke and the Molotov, shown by Refresh in this clip. But funnily enough, the one map that saw probably the biggest increase in terms of CT rounds won based off of the grenade dropping mechanic is Dust 2, a map where teams prioritize double flashes at almost all times. The reason for this is that the CT side players on Dust 2 that don't need an HE, that instead play with double flash, will buy an HE and leave it in the spawn for the A rotation, in this case LXCB, to pick it up. The A rotation on Dust 2 is the most central role. He will typically be starting out his rounds early towards long, but then later going to short or down to mid. The rotation from long and short over to mid is through the CT spawn, where all these HE grenades are found. Since the A rotation is already in one of the most central roles, these HEs see great use from the A rotation. The T side obviously also benefits from having the grenade dropping mechanic in the game, but for T side it is more so that we see these sort of one-man executes where multiple smokes are dropped in one location and one terrorist player smokes almost all of the smokes for his entire team. The problem with this is that for the T side, when you execute there will be a gap between all of the smokes, so first there will be one smoke coming, then another smoke coming, and then another smoke, whereas normally on an execute you want to be throwing those same smokes at the same time. The reason why this is less of an issue for the CT side is because they typically use a smoke on a choke point, wait for it to fade and re-smoke it after those 20 seconds. Another added bonus for the T side with the grenade dropping is that me, when I'm playing with friends, I can use my utility to take map control, and then I can drop the utility over from my teammates who don't really know how to throw the utility as well as I do, and don't know as many lineups for smokes and for flashes and so on. This though is a factor that doesn't come into play in pro play, of course, since most of the pros know what kind of utility they want to be using, and they definitely remember the lineup, so it does boost the T side, but not at the pro level, which is what this video obviously is mainly focused on. I have now covered the dual berettas and the grenade dropping. Now on to the final piece of the puzzle. It is obviously the M4 changes that happened back in September of 2021, almost a year ago, where the M4A1S in particular saw a huge damage boost that CTs are now enjoying very much. The reason the silenced M4 has had such a big impact on a game of CSGO is because of the spam through smokes. The most valuable grenade for a T-side to have is the smoke grenade, seen here on Nuke, where there's a bunch of walls that you're going to be using as the T-side to try and take area you otherwise would not be able to get. There are two big reasons why the silenced M4 is far superior when shooting through smokes, which you typically are a lot of the time on the CT side. These two things work in tandem as well. Having a silencer on your gun makes it so your gun is less loud, and then makes it harder for the Ts to discern your exact location using sound. Not only that, but having a silencer on your gun makes it so that no bullet tracers come through the smokes at all. This means that the Ts can't use vision either to locate you through the smoke. Every map in CSGO will have some key choke points that you have to smoke off to kind of move past it. And with the smoke spam being so strong for the CTs right now, it just makes it so much harder for the T side to take any space. It's hard for them to return fire onto the CT shooting through the smoke, and because of the damage boost from the M4 as well, any body hit is doing way more damage than it was before. Spamming through smokes as a CT side right now feels almost like a free pass, and being the defending side, it just makes them so much stronger. The video clips that I'm showing you here are mainly focused on the smoke spam, but maps like Nuke that actually have verticality on the A bomb site, it makes it really difficult at times also to locate where the CT players are playing from. Having your teammates talking in your ear, grenades exploding and people shooting makes it really difficult to be the entry man on Nuke. Is he shooting you from on top of HUD, or from one of the railings, or on top of the silos on the bomb site, or on the A bomb site itself? You can barely hear the silenced M4 shooting in a vacuum. With so much noise on the map at the same time, how are you going to be able to locate his position in 1 second? I have seen pro teams fail to locate where the first guy is being shot from, and them running out onto the A bomb site and just keep getting shot in the side or in the back. I've had it happen to myself as well, where other teammates have not been able to give the proper info, or where I have been running in front and I have not been able to locate the last guy. You can definitely argue that I am over exaggerating this point of having a hard time of locating the silenced M4 when entering out on the A bomb site. But consider that just even a 5% increase for the time that it takes the Ts to locate you is a massive improvement. And added together with all the other things that I've mentioned in this video, it does make a difference. I hope this video helped clarify why the CT side is much stronger and why now it feels like we are living in a CT meta. I have been NaToSaphiX for Play.gg, and thank you so much for watching the video.